Please join us today. We're going to go over the 150 contest plant. Who can grow the biggest pumpkin on 150 square foot worldwide contest? We're going to go over that, show you that plant. We're going to pollinate it today. Check this out. We're also going to go over what is Jack and Bubba feeding the plants. It's been hot, wet, not a great year. How are we feeding them? What are we feeding them? You got to see this video. You got to see what's important. If you're a new grower, you need to know these are the basics, what you need to feed your plants. So please join us. It's time to pollinate the 150 plant. Who can grow the biggest pumpkin on a 150 square foot plant? It's time. Taking a flower from the 2453 Sherwood, because we sure would like to grow the biggest pumpkin. And here's number 2 on that plant. And the number 1 is approaching a couple hundred pounds, is already over there. It's 20 days old. 20 days old, growing 2 on 1 plant. Here's the Sherwood. 24. Okay, correction. 24 days old and 14 days old. They're 10 days apart. These are the 2 pumpkins we're growing on the Sherwood, 2 on 1 plant. We keep blowing them up, so let's have a backup pressure relief valve. Now we're gonna pollinate the 150 plant today. Check this out. Seems a little bit behind. It's July 11th, but way off is October 18th. New way off in Michigan, GPC in Flint, Michigan, Genesee County Fairgrounds. It's a new way off announcing. Come on, $1,000 first prize. Who can grow the biggest pumpkin? That's what we plan. That's the goal, to take the 150. We'll let it grow with the warm falls we've been having. If not, the plant's small enough, I'll show you. We can always greenhouse. Okay, here's our 150 plant. Walking on my plank so I'm not crushing my roots. Blame it all on my roots. Yes, she's a little bit behind, some would say, because they got full-grown plants already, but it depends on the timing of the weather. Timing of the weather. But here we go. Here's there's something I haven't seen in a long time, a bee. I guess this will be an open pollinated. However, we're going to give the bee a little bit of help. We're going to give it a lot of help. We don't see many bees around here anymore. It's kind of strange. Hi, Mr. Bee. We're going to give you a little help. Here's a little pollen. All right, we'll leave that in there. The 2670 Thompson times the 2453 Sherwood. Technically, I guess it's open pollinated, but it's a crapshoot on the seeds. The only other plant in this garden is a 2551 Sherwood. So either way, I think you got a great cross. There's not too many gardens around this area. Here we go, we have another one, a second candidate on here. We're gonna go get another male flower. I could use the same flower, but I'm gonna pick another one off. Let's find another male. Here's our number 2 pumpkin, 24 days old today. I should say number 1 pumpkin. Hopefully, she got the same shape as last year's Maverick that split at around 1,200 to 1,400 pounds. We kept her growing. She got the same shape, but hopefully that ribs in there don't take hold. Here we go. Here's a male flower. Like I say, that's the first bee I've seen around here in this pumpkin patch in 2 years. That's weird. All right. Let's go to the 150 plant, our trapezoid. The trapezoid, pollinating the trapezoid. This is our main vine here. Those are secondaries. I don't think it really matters, especially on that small of a plant. Step into our shoes. Peel back the petals. 70 degrees right now. 70 degrees is the perfect temperature for pollinating. We're going to pollinate both these and let them go. And we'll see which one fares out the best. All right. we'll see. We'll wait a few days and see how they're shaping up. Decide maybe even a week and decide which one we're gonna pick as our candidate. All right, there you go. There you have it. It's wet, man. It's wet, muddy. It's a wet summer. Been using lots of fungicides. Heritage fungicide. Rhine. I know it's Rhyme. I got it from Birdman. $500 a quart. Also gave some to 𝐕𝐢𝐝 so he could use it at his patch. We got vines. We're continuing to grow the vines. I got a batch of fertilizers I'm going to plow on today. I'm using Morgan's Cow Blaster and Morgan's 𝐞𝐿 today. See these leaves? These leaves look yearny, but it's hard to feed them when it won't stop raining. So today, even though we really don't need a watering, we still got moisture. I'm going to go ahead and it's drying out a little bit on top. We're going to give them 100 gallons over the whole thing of nice fertilized Cow Blaster, 𝐞𝐿, and I got some 𝐫𝐚𝐬𝐡𝐭𝐞𝐿 050. It's spelled with a K, 𝐫𝐚𝐬𝐡𝐭𝐞𝐿, I got a 50-pound bag of that. It's 050-30. Put about a cup full of that in 100 gallons to make sure they got feed. We're gonna push them. We're gonna push them like a bad preacher off my front porch. And I'm saying a bad preacher because I like preachers, but not a bad preacher. All right, here we go, baby. Jackson's cantaloupes. Just, it's been muddy, man. Muddy. Look at the erosion. I get down here to show you. We're on a hill. We're on a hill and it's just coming down. It's just staying wet. I normally wouldn't water today, but they're calling for more rain this afternoon, possibly 50% chance. So I got to get some feed to them. I got to get some feed to them. You look at these leaves. They're yearny. They're a little bit light. They got plenty of nitrogen, but I want to make sure they got the sulfur. We added sulfur, some Epsom salts to the mix today too. We're letting some vines grow, keep the plant growing. We don't want to shut it down. That's old school. Old school was shut the plant down, make it force it all in a pumpkin. No, I just slowed the whole plant down. So we keep some vines growing, especially around the fruit, closer to the fruit is the new theory. I cut off my cobras. And letting the tertiary take over, trying to tame the tertiary. Taming the tertiary. That's what Bubba's doing. It's working in a few places over here. I'm taming the tertiary. It's coming down off the cobra. And here's my mix in the barrel. Morgan's 𝐞𝐿 and Cow Blaster. Cal Mag. I think these are very amino acids, your seaweed amino acids, calcium, magnesium, which is sulfur. And keep in mind, we started the plants, both plants are started in 3 yards of dairy dew, 301 veggie dew 301. 3 yards were spread in a mountain. I call it a mini mountain. That's what we started in. Here's the pump. Keep her covered up. Keep the bottom cooler on here so we don't suck up any dirt, the lid. Here's our mix. I've already mixed it. We'll stir her up real good. So look at the dryers running, warming my water. That's too funny. All right. Anyways, there we go. We're gonna stir her up real good. I usually use the water to circulate the water, but I'm gonna big thumb water. Sometimes I turn on a sprinkler, but this morning I'm gonna big thumb water the whole thing. Just kind of feed them, a light feeding on top. Just a light feeding on top, especially with my sand. My sand, let me show you the sand one time. One more time, I'll show you the sand. Okay, for a weed barrier this year, I'm experimenting with sand. Now, I threw sand down in here because I thought, you know what? And look at these tertiaries, they're popping up, man. They're gonna keep trying to pop up. You gotta keep pinching them off. Anyways, somebody told me, the weeds are just gonna pop up in that sand. Well, they're not doing it yet. There's 2 to 3 inches of sand down there. Another reason why for me to feed heavy. Put nutrients in the sand so they can tap their root down to the bottom soil that's jacked with soil, jacked with nutrients. All right, so here we go. They're not bad looking. They don't look great, but they're not bad considering hot, wet, hot, wet, hot, wet. Hard to feed when it's hot and wet. Here we go. We'll see how this turns out. I'm gonna go in the house and take a coffee break and give those pollinations a half hour to set. I don't know if they need that long, but we'll do it anyways. And then we'll come back in 30 minutes, and I'm gonna thumb water, feed the whole thing in with this 100 gallons of nutrients. We're gonna keep pushing her hard, baby, not gonna let her go lean. I don't want thin-walled pumpkins, don't want them to split. You gotta keep the goodies, gotta keep the calcium, the amino acids, keep it all going to the plant, the sulfur, the manganese. There's a couple tablespoons of manganese in there. I put a tablespoon of boron in there. Not a tablespoon, I'm sorry. Like a teaspoon. I put a teaspoon of boron. Be careful with boron. You can do too much. Borax is 11% boron. If you use borax, it's 11% boron. You only want to use like a half a teaspoon in 50 gallons of water. All right. I also got some water soluble that you can spray on the leaves, some foliar the Birdman gifted me with. Use a little bit of that, keep your boron up. The pumpkins like to run high numbers, but not so high that you kill the plant. Be cautious with your boron. That helps. Boron is the driver, calcium is the load. You need your amino acids, your kelp, your NPK, but you've got to keep it, it's a balance. There's a balance there. We're nitrogen bloated, so I'm trying to cut back on the nitrogen big time. Very little nitrogen is being used. All right, that's the latest update, man. Keep them growing. Any questions, comments, post below. Thanks for joining us. The Jack and Bubba update, July 11th, 2025.